Hello and a warm welcome to TBC News. Our top stories. African leaders outline way forward on the DRC conflict.
And the political will to deliver tangible results for the people of the DRC.
TANAPA set to promote tourism attractions. Good evening, I am Faida Ngaga. You can also follow us live via our YouTube channel, TBC Online. Also, get all the latest news through our Instagram, Facebook, and X pages at TBC Online. Chairman of the Southern African Development Community, SADC, President Emmerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, says it is important to have African solutions for African problems. President Mnangagwa made the remarks when speaking at the meeting of heads of states of East African Community, EAC, and those of Southern African Development Community, SADC, which was held virtually. Teddy Paranyanga has more.
February this year, East African Community, EAC, and Southern African Development Community, SADC, heads of state met in Dar es Salaam to discuss, among other issues, the crisis in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Speaking at the second joint EAC and SADC heads of state summit that was held virtually, the chairman of Southern African Development Community, SADC, President Emmerson Mnangagwa, says it is important to have African solutions for African problems.
The establishment of a political framework is a crucial enabler for the implementation of critical outstanding outcomes of our previous meetings. There is therefore need to initiate diplomatic and political engagement to facilitate the withdrawal of some DRC troops.
He called on the international community to provide humanitarian assistance in the Democratic Republic of Congo.
The successful implementation of our joint efforts is encouraged by our collective resolve and commitment. It is incumbent upon us all, given the weighty responsibility bestowed upon us, to demonstrate unity of purpose and the political will to deliver tangible results for the people of the DRC.
The joint summit appointed 5 eminent persons to the panel facilitators of the DRC conflict. They are Olusegun Obasanjo, former president of Nigeria; Uhuru Kenyatta, former president of Kenya; Galema Motlanthe, former president of South Africa; Catherine Panza, former president of Central African Republic; and Saleh Work, former president of Ethiopia. In another development, Angola has stepped aside from the negotiations, citing other engagements on its mandate as the head of the African Union. In a statement, Angola says it had recognized the need to shift its focus to broader continental priorities, including peace, infrastructure, economic development, and justice for Africans. Teddy Paranyanga, TBC News.
Now, to discuss further the DRC crisis, we have invited in the studio political analyst Paternus Niagira. Paternus, welcome to TBC. So we've heard the president of Zimbabwe, Emmerson Mnangagwa, who is also the chairman of SADC, about having African solutions to African problems. How can we actually implement this?
It is the ongoing issue. You cannot speak of this today in Africa simply because there is diverse of parties within Africa. And we still believe or hold on a cartel of international believers. You can see when we speak the issue of Africa, for African solutions, problems related with the African issues, in the middle of, for example, of a crisis like this, you find Belgium sanctioning some of the countries in pertinent countries in the Congo issue. The leaders of M23, of which, yes, you may say they are rebels, but these are political, necessary political forces which you can't avoid any longer. From 2011 to 2014, they had decided from the International Conference for the Great Lake Regions that it is a necessary political force. M23 in Congo so needs a political solutions. Now, a framework was mapped that the Africa should take charge. And some of the things were done. A contribution of $20 million US from each three countries, Uganda, Rwanda, and the DRC, to see how they can be able to integrate M23 in the National Congolese Army. But UN, together with the other international cartel of good intentions, came in between, and the process just dissolved from there. So from that, up to today, we are still having the same. You could see now, if you come up with a statement that African solutions to African problems, well and good, but why can't we tell the Belgium, of which Belgium, European Union, that this is not the right time to sanction the people, to sanction the countries which are called to get into a meeting on table. Now, when you are calling Rwanda to come on table, is already sanctioned. Its leaders who are good negotiators for that force, they are already into questions. What do you think they will do? So the whole business will be in jeopardy. So I think they needed to refocus and to rethink the proper way of how generally we can handle the question of DRC, because it has many stakes, I can say many actors, international and local. And international, it seems now to have a upper hand than the local. So I think it's the right statement, but it needs actually to be with political will, but it should be emphasized on, should be looked differently from how it has been done, especially when we come to the issue of peace and security in Africa.
Do you think on that issue of international community, because also the chairperson also touched on that issue, that humanitarian assistance from the international community to solve the issue. Do you think it's paradoxical, like there is a contradiction between having African solutions and then also inviting the international community? That's where
the challenge lies. You speak today that you want to have African solutions, at the same time you call the international community to help you. That's why I've said that the international community is having an upper hand in this process, is having actually all of it. And for us, we are just behind. So the talks which are being done by our presidents, they are nice. They are good at the Bible. We can say they are good at the Bible, but people have never stopped listening. So we need to refocus and change the way we think we should engineer the changes we want and the issues we want to call on as African people. And this can only be done. You said a statement on political will. There is a diversity of thinking in African countries. And nobody cares, I think, to come together as a group that started in 1960s from the OAU coming back to African Union. That fire which was burning, that vibe actually we can say, is not much that. Today we are so divergent. You find Kenya does not talk with the Tanzania very well. Tanzania does not talk, for example. It's an example. You look at Rwanda, Burundi, Congo, Uganda. These countries as if they are not from the same region.
Okay, now there's 5 eminent persons that we just heard that have been chosen to kind of mediate the process in the Eastern DRC. There's the former presidents like of Kenya, Kenyatta, of Nigeria, Obasanjo, and of Ethiopia. Do you think they can fast track?
Yes, the two, for example, I can speak of President Obasanjo, was there in 2012 when actually 23rd March, the CNDP were seizing fire. They actually himself, together with the president, the late Mkapa, had to forge a means and had fought that agreement, and the CNDP seized it. And the CNDP actually came to accept the terms and all the parties which were involved in that talk. So when you look at President Obasanjo, I see there is he has something he knows much bigger than what we can say. When you look at President Kenyatta, he has been there in the Nairobi process, and he was at the front line. Though yes, in between, as I've told you, that there are many actors, there are many forces. Now, if the forces within Africa are not properly listened to, are not properly accommodated, they will not go anywhere. But when I look at Obasanjo, he's a hardliner. President Obasanjo is the hardliner, and he has been there in this great
So we may experience an impact.
We may experience an impact, so to speak.
Now there's this Angola's withdrawal from the process. As a result, we saw that the Kenyatas and everybody was employed. Do you think this will affect the withdrawal of Angola from the process, but also the withdrawal of SADC troops now in DRC, all these things? How much do you think they're going to affect the peace process in DRC?
Let me begin with the SADC forces. They have done a right decision to withdraw the forces in Sudan, in DRC. Because the DRC forces in the DRC are not there to fight M23, should not go there to fight M23. They should go there to bridge a gap that can make M23, together with the government of Congo, sit together, discuss their differences, because we are talking about political solutions, and the M23 is the child born in the DRC, in the Congo. So it can be only solved by the Kinshasa government sitting on table with the M23 and resolve the political forces.
So it's the right decision.
It's the right decision to withdraw, because the notion was the SADC forces are going to fight M23. They should not do that, because that's not their role in the first place to go and fight. But they should go there to make sure that they preside between the two parties, the FADC, the armed forces for the DRC, together with the M23, they don't come into collision. At the same time, forge a way where DRC, Kinshasa government, can sit with the M23. So this is a proper way, so that M23, together with the government of Kinshasa, can now see things in a black and white, and be able now to call each other. Because when every time you have somebody who stays in between, fights on your behalf, you will not move. And that's why we are speaking African solutions. Let we face the realities of today's world. That's number one. Number two, we speak of your second part of the question, which was dealing with
Angola.
With the Angola. Yes, Angola has been there since 2002, historically, and is a neutral party. So is respected by Rwanda, is respected by Uganda, is respected by DRC itself, and the withdraw from the peace talks actually puts the whole process into jeopardy, because Rwanda has been actually, we may say, is a playground of such conflict, because we see when we started with Dos Santos 2002, 2003, way back up to today, Rwanda has been a good vibe into bringing these two teams together. And so therefore, when it pulls, you have to rethink now who could be a neutral party. And the neutral party I see is Tanzania. So the United Republic of Tanzania should get prepared for this, because there is no way out. Because Angola was at least doing a neutral game, a neutral way of doing things, of which now these three nations, of course, you have to bring Rwanda, you have to bring Uganda, you have to bring Burundi. Nobody can manage them except Tanzania and Rwanda, because they have no parties they enjoy.
Thank you very much, Nigeria. Thank you very much. Now, in other news, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has directed Tanzania National Parks Authority, TANAPA, to have programs that will promote tourist attractions available in Mkomazi National Park in order to increase the number of tourists who visit the national park. Speaking after launching the entrance gate at Mkomazi National Park in Kilimanjaro region, Majaliwa says the government has invested in infrastructure and other services, so it is important for TANAPA to increase the number of tourists.
I would like to congratulate TANAPA for strengthening this park, for improving the entrance environment. I am pleased to hear that you are living well with the locals. Please continue to offer the citizen opportunity so that they can benefit. Ensure that these people know what is important in attracting tourists so that they themselves can benefit from the presence of this park. These parks have immense benefit for you, these locals, and for the entire country, because we are generating revenue. The local will earn income by conducting business in these areas.
He directs TANAPA to educate people on economic opportunities available because of the tourist visits so that they can grab them. In another development, Prime Minister Kassim Majaliwa has urged the Minister of Communication and Information Technology to ensure that there is reliable communication at the Mkomazi National Park. Tanzania has been chosen to host training for members of the African Union Peace and Security Council. Speaking in Arusha, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Kosato Chumi, says President Samia Suluhu Hassan's diplomacy has impressed the leaders to choose Tanzania.
Normally, once they have elected their representative, training like this should be conducted in the country that is currently chair of the organization for the month. However, despite us not being the chair this month, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan is doing a great job for honoring our country, and we have been given the great honor for hosting this training.
On the other hand, Tanzania's ambassador to Ethiopia, who is also a permanent representative in the African Union, Innocent Shio, says that the training will enable participants to have a common understanding on security issues in Africa.
Who have left and the continued delegates, including those from Tanzania, are meeting to reflect on where we have come from, where we are now, and where we want to go. What were our success? What did we not succeed? And what challenge lie ahead of us, and how can we resolve them? Tanzania has had the opportunity to host this training due to our position within the African continent in managing peace and security issues.
The training is attended by ambassadors, military attaché, and other diplomats. As science and technology reform accelerates in Tanzania, the Tanzania Commission for Science and Technology, COSTECH, has handed over a site to a contractor as part of the commencement of the construction of the Commission's new headquarters in Dodoma. Tanzanian youth are mentioned as the main beneficiaries of the project, which is expected to be completed next year. Peter Mganga attended the handing over ceremony in Dodoma and has prepared the following report.
After the Tanzania Commission for Science and Technology, COSTECH, signed the construction document in Dar es Salaam, earlier today, management of COSTECH and a group of contractors meet in Dodoma for handover of the site.
After completion of this construction of the proposed STI complex, service delivery will be enhanced, taking into consideration that this is part of HIT project, of which we are expecting to receive a number of innovators from higher learning institutions, whereby most of them will be expecting to improve their innovations ready for market fit.
Furthermore, Dr. Andrew, who is the HIT project coordinator from COSTECH, comments on how the institution will contribute to create accessibility of material support for researchers and innovators after the accomplishment of the building in Dodoma.
Having a building is one thing, but again, we need to have other facilities to smoothen service delivery into to the users, meaning that innovators need to improve their innovations, so they need fabrication equipment, and again, they need skills on commercialization.
Benedict Martin is the consultant of Science, Technology and Innovation Building, shares the criteria which was taken into consideration to select contractors' tender of the COSTECH building.
The contractor selected, CO Contractors, was among the 12 contractors that applied for the tender and was able to get it solely based due to their merit. And so it is our hope and it is our belief that they will be able to execute this project without any hiccup, and our clients and the funders and everyone involved in this, and every stakeholder involved in this project, will be happy with the outcome.
This is the place where innovators and researchers will be supported under COSTECH after the completion of this building. It approximated that 18 billion Tanzanian shillings allocated to accomplish this project for the sake of enhancing capability of young people, innovators and researchers across Tanzania's region. I'm Peter Mganga. This is TBC News, Dodoma.
Now from Dodoma, let's head over to Pemba. Violence against women and children is a common reality in Pemba. Corporal punishment of children is widely practiced. According to UNFPA, 1 in 10 women in Zanzibar has endured physical violence and about 1 in 15 has experienced sexual violence. In the overwhelming majority of these cases, formal prosecution is very rare. Typically, violence against women and children is considered a private matter and solved within the household or community.
We anticipate in our area, which we are going to focus on ending violence against women and girls, will engage those government partners who are working to prevent, as well as those who are working to respond to violence against women and girls, especially police force, one-stop centers, paralegal and legal aid support, as well as community development officers who are mainly working on prevention intervention. As I mentioned, this is a joint program with other UN sister agency, and UN Women, we are part of this joint program. And for us, we also work together with the government to identify areas which needs additional or further support to enforce the government initiatives, especially the National Plan of Action to End Violence Against Women and Girls in Zanzibar.
As TAMWA, we have a special system in providing education in schools to raise awareness about sexual violence. The challenges we encounter is that children who have been subjected to violence are denied justice in court due to lack of evidence. The major cases are domestic violence, rape, and family violence. The number of reported incidents of the violence is high, which is why this project will greatly help in spreading awareness to the community about gender-based violence so that people should not shy away from reporting.
In recent years, Zanzibari communities have become more aware of the problem of violence against women and children and the need for further investment into building a coordinated response. The government has also established gender-based violence committees at local, regional and national levels and has created a child protection unit within the Department of Social Welfare, which is working alongside the police force to address cases of abuse against children. In other news, the Dutch government is committed to ensure that Tanzania makes progress in the production of quality chicken meat to enable poultry producers to operate commercially and enable the sector to provide jobs for young people and contribute to the economy. The head of economic affairs from the Embassy of the Netherlands to Tanzania, John Mike, made the remarks in Dar es Salaam during launch of the Poultry Curriculum Assessment Project, which aims to enhance efficiency and increase productivity within Tanzanian poultry.
Assessing the poultry curriculum while creating new insights and experience in the field will allow us to create a more comprehensive and specific curriculum. Need to expand the already important poultry sector in Tanzania. With this, we do not only contribute to a better sector now, but mostly we invest in the future of Tanzania.
On the other hand, the Chief Executive Officer from the Tanzania Veterinary Laboratory Agency, Dr. Stella Bitanyi, says the current curriculum offers general overview of animal husbandry, but specialized training in poultry is limited, while the private sector stakeholders indicate a pressing need for more targeted practical training in the field.
These deficiencies may not inspire more beneficiaries, especially youth and women, to venture into the poultry subsector in provision of their employment opportunities and income.
We will collaborate to ensure that the pre-test is accurate and well conducted at the time which we have set.
What we see is that there is a gap between what the industry needs, what the poultry farmers need, but also the supplying industry, but also the processing industry, and what LITA is offering. So what we are really hoping for is that LITA, or maybe I should say the poultry trainers in future.
The primary motivation for commercialization is to generate revenue from innovative products or services. These were discussed in the Research and Innovation Commercialization Workshop at the University of Dar es Salaam. Speaking in the workshop, innovators and university students say when ideas are turned into products, they can be sold for profit.
We came actually to see the weaknesses and the strength of our policy on IP issues. That is it actually addressing the interest of our innovators, the interest of the university, the interest of the nation? Actually, we find out the weak point.
With the economy and with the competition, you have to accept that there are going to be others with products maybe better than yours. But the best way to start something is to start. We need to start from where we are. We need to improve our products. We need to collaborate with other players.
Because we believe universities are sources of great ideas, and when they do researches, it's important that those researches go somewhere, not just end up by just publication, but they don't amount to impact to society.
Businesses that successfully commercialize innovative products often stand out against their competitors. The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Information, Culture, Arts and Sports, who also serves as the government spokesperson, Gerson Msigwa, says it is important for journalists to receive electoral reporting trainings now that the country is heading towards the general elections in October this year. Speaking on the second day of the electoral reporting training for TBC staff in Dodoma, Msigwa says that such training will help journalists be well prepared for covering the upcoming general election in accordance with the procedures, regulations and directives set by the National Electoral Commission. Caroline Maleo has prepared the following report.
Today is the second day where Tanzania Broadcasting Corporation is offering training on electoral reporting to its journalists. And amongst the things that the journalists have been trained today includes how to do online reporting on general election, as well as how to do a proper reporting before, during and after the general elections. And here the trainers of the day are giving their insights.
I insisted on the issue of creativity among journalists, or the innovation among producers and whoever is working in our media outlets. This will assure that our coverage this year will be much better than what we had in 2020.
We have to cross-check about something called a fact-checking. It's better to stay in our lane and to make sure we cross-check everything before start spreading the news.
And here the participants of the training are expressing their readiness to go and practice what they have learned in the coming general election reporting.
We've been told that before you report anything pertaining to election, you need to fact-checking.
And I believe we are ready to report the coming general election. And as a visual editor, I will use the skills that we have received here today to work professionally.
Not only for TBC journalists, but also we have invited other colleagues from other media organizations, as we believe that we are all building the same house. Make sure you use this knowledge that you have received. Otherwise, we have just wasted our time.
Meanwhile, Gerson Msigwa emphasizes the importance of such trainings to journalists.
So it is very important for them to be well prepared, for the journalists themselves, because, you know, elections evolves. The last elections cannot be the same as this election. Of course, voting is the same, but there are procedures that are imposed by the Independent National Electoral Committee that people need to get aware. But also there are also directives that are given. For instance, the posts where people will be going to vote.
On the other hand, the Director General of TBC, Dr. Ayub Rioba, expresses appreciation to the government for funding this year's journalist electoral reporting trainings.
Each election year, TBC conducts training to journalists throughout the country, preparing them to cover elections in a more efficient and effective way. And we're happy to announce that this year the trainings we are conducting have been fully financed by the government, and we are thankful to the government that it has actually provided the funding for the trainings we are conducting. We trained journalists about 100 plus in Morogoro just 3 days ago, and now we have this training here in Dodoma, the capital city, where we have brought people from all over the country.
Generally, the 2 days training have offered critical understanding to the journalists on a number of topics, including media laws, electoral laws, and data journalism. This actually aims to allow the journalists to be able to do accurate and professional reporting in the coming general election. Reporting from the capital city of Tanzania, Dodoma, this is Caroline Meleo, TBC News.
And on that note, we are ending our news bulletin for tonight, but do not miss our next bulletin in Kiswahili at 11 p.m. I am Faida Ngaga. Good night.